Welcome to CityBiz. This is the end of August 2019 edition. I'm your host, Melinda Arndt. This is Councilman Michael Halley. Can you believe we're at the end of August? RAGBRAI's come and gone. We are going to recap you on, or mostly Michael. I will ask the questions that you might want to ask about what's going on around town from the perspective of the City Council and CityBiz. Do we want to have a little recap of RAGBRAI?
Sure thing. So the RAGBRAI committee met this morning for our final meeting with the main organizers from Des Moines, kind of our wrap up. And it was great to hear what worked, what we could have done better from pretty much all the committees. Overall, a great event. Logistically, we improved upon the event from 2013. So everything functioned really well. The only thing that we noticed was a little smaller crowd downtown.
Yeah, I noticed too.
To 2013. That may have been because it was a Thursday overnight rather than a Friday. There's a lot of factors. The demographic who's riding RAGBRAI apparently is a little older, perhaps. So it was fine. We look like we're going to break even financially, which was really our goal ultimately. In 2013, we had quite a bit of funds left over to do legacy projects for the community. We planted trees on Central Park to replace the ash trees. We put bike racks on the trails. May not happen this time. However, our local merchants benefited greatly from the crowd. We heard some downtown restaurants, owners of Sweet and Saucy, say they have a new record for the biggest day ever, and that was July 25th. And I've even seen some local restaurants who had good days put in some new carpeting or do some little fix-ups, and you know that's the RAGBRAI bump. That's great. Why we do the event. That's why we labor for weeks and months to have this event, is to give our local economy a bump and to just have a great event for our citizens. And I think that some of the employers who ended up being sponsors really appreciate that aspect, that they can get their employees involved, not just in enjoying it, but also maybe helping prepare for it. And it just pulls our community together. Everyone gets that sense of community pride. We're out cleaning. We're making everything look as nice as possible.
Yeah.
So it's a great event. The question is, will we do it again in a 6-year time frame, or maybe go back to the 9-year time frame that we were in? So the reason it's a 3-year cycle is the ride goes southern route, mid route, north route, and cycles through that. We're in the southern route. 3 years would be, we'd probably get beat back with a stick if we tried to do 3 years. 6 years even maybe a little sooner.
Just test the waters, you know, I would say test the waters. I think we have a lot of fun, even though it is a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. So we'll see. You know, they'll ask us to put our hat in the bid. I've heard they want us to do it in 3 years because that's their big 50th anniversary. At this point, it's I don't think anybody
can even think about it.
We don't want to even think about it. So it's kind of like, I use the analogy, it's like when a woman gives birth, she forgets the pain of childbirth once the baby's born, and then she remembers the wonderful love for the child. But you need enough time for that amnesia to set in before considering having another kid. So
it's not just the amnesia, the body needs to recover.
Exactly.
I can say that from experience.
We go. So like that, Fairfield now needs to recover from having birthed yet another very successful RAGBRAI. We're told again that we were one of the best stops on the week, that we always do a good job, and there's always a learning curve, and we're keeping just really detailed notes this time, so that whoever does it next knows what worked and what didn't, and how to improve upon it in the future. We had a lot of repeat volunteers from 2013 who were on the committee who said, all right, this is my last RAGBRAI. So
I've heard that.
No matter when we do it again, it'll be, in a real way, a fresh start. We'll have a lot of new people organizing.
But with the notes.
With the notes. And so the thing is, when we did 2013, we really didn't have notes. It had been so long. It had been 18 years, I believe, or something like that. And so, yeah, this is, we're trying to do it the right way, where we leave everything that the future committee can use so that they can have a really great event. So we'll see. Might be 6 years, might be 9, but they'll be back eventually.
And as some of you may have the shirt and or the memories of hosting riders, or just being downtown, or being anywhere in Fairfield on that day. It was a pretty cool event. And both churches, there were only 2 churches who had meals, but they sold out.
I figured when I was on the shuttle, all they could talk about was, hey, where's the lasagna dinner? Where's the meatloaf dinner? The two churches were highlights. Apparently the riders really like to support the local businesses and local churches and nonprofits. So, and they liked the choice of food was perfect.
Yeah, it was good. And I know they're going to get a rib sticking meal. So
Exactly. Yep.
Anyway, so there's our Ragbri wrap up. It is the end of summer, but we still have good weather. And boy, where I live anyway, and Traverse, starting at about 7 a.m., street crews are out there, or some workers are out there doing some stuff. Do we have any updates on projects?
Yeah, so it's kind of finishing up the construction season. A lot of projects that we've talked about before finishing up, kind of not worth mentioning, but a couple that are worth mentioning are a big project that's happening over on the west side of Pleasant Lake. So there's a portion of land that was donated to the city by the Natty family, so we call it the Natty land. And it was donated as a conservation easement, so can't be built on. It's being restored to native prairie and some woodlands. Some earthwork was done recently that cleared large sections along the western side of Pleasant Lake. So if you're on the trail in that area and you look, you can see exposed earth. And it looks like someone just came in and just clear cut it. And it's kind of concerning to some citizens. It's all part of the plan to restore that area to the prairie. So it'll be a mix of woodland and prairie trails and now access to that side of the lake. I can tell you, years ago, my younger son lost his soccer ball in the lake and we thought it floated over to that side and we tried to walk there and you couldn't get through. The bramble was just too thick. So opening that up now so that there'll be a walking path through the prairie, access down to the lake, very beautiful views. It's all part of this plan. So if anyone sees that, don't be alarmed. You'll see it start to grow in prairie even later this fall and into the spring.
I was going to say, check back next spring. It should look more grown up.
Yes.
That's good to know.
Yeah, so that's happening. There's been progress made at Petra Park. The planters are in. They've started kind of cutting away some of the terrazzo that's not going to be needed on the west side.
I've looked at that just about once a week. I happen to go by.
Now, a concerned citizen who had heard kind of a rumor mill that there was asbestos in the insulation under the terrazzo asked OSHA to have it checked. When I say us, it's not really the city. It's not a city project at this point. It's still private property, and the whole project is private until it's finished, and then will be handed off to the city. But work has been kind of put on hold for a little while some of the insulation under the terrazzo, which actually won't be affected by the project because they're keeping the terrazzo as the surface. But a citizen was concerned and wants to know, was there any asbestos? So wait for the results to come back. In the meantime, the contractor is building the wooden pergola that'll go in the middle.
Yeah.
And I think the pergola will go over the east entrance in their shop in Des Moines, and then they'll ship them down intact for installation. So hopefully everything will be fine with the asbestos, and we'll continue to see progress on that yet this fall. And Highway 1 improvement, we had a public meeting. So for those who are unfamiliar, from Fillmore south to Libertyville Road, the plan is to convert from 2 lanes to 3. So 2 lanes and a middle turn lane. Also add a 10-foot paved trail on one side and a 5-foot sidewalk on the other. And change from kind of the rural configuration of the road, which has ditches for the rainwater, to a curb and gutter. So basically making it more like a city street than a county, and having that turn lane so that people going into any of the businesses or residents in that area have access. So the first meeting was a couple weeks ago, public meeting, and one of the discussion points that's yet to be determined is what kind of intersection controls will we have at South Main / Highway 1 and Libertyville Road. Right now, traffic coming up on Libertyville stops at a stop sign, and traffic on Main Highway 1 just keeps going.
Yeah.
We want to either install a 4-way stoplight, so red and green, or a roundabout based on which will be the safest, be the most economical, and just make the most sense in terms of keeping traffic moving. And there was some concern that the public who came, we had a pretty good turnout, may have some issues with that. It was all positive. Everyone's comments were very positive about the possibility of a roundabout. So it's still...
I'm positive about it, just so there's plenty of room for a roundabout.
Yeah, there's room there. Yep, just got to kind of figure out what to do with the east side, because there's a kind of a... It runs parallel that...
Yeah.
You know, it's just something that the engineers can figure out, but it's moving forward. They're going to come back with a recommendation. The council will discuss it at a work session in October, and then vote on it, I believe, in the last meeting in October. Which way we're going to go. It's a vote that's essentially a recommendation, because the Department of Transportation will make the ultimate decision. It is their highway, and they're paying for 90-some% of the improvements there. So they get the ultimate decision, but we at least, City Council, can make a recommendation.
Wow, I was not up to date with that. I don't know how many of you were, but that's neat news. All right, and we need to move maybe briefly into a next topic, and that is many of us who've been here a long time know that we had a 10-year plan that was completed several years ago, and that a new plan, visionary input has been sought. And tell us what's going on with a new plan.
Well, there are two kinds of plans. The 10-year plan, I think you're referring to, is a strategic plan.
Yes.
Which is a bit more of an outgrowth of what's called a comprehensive plan. So by law, the city has to have a comprehensive plan in order to have a planning and zoning board.
Okay.
We have a planning and zoning board, and they need to be referencing an updated comprehensive plan. So ours is not updated. I think the current one is about 20 years old.
Oh, okay.
So we hired a firm to take us through the process of doing a new one. So a comprehensive plan differs from a strategic plan in that it's more of a plan for future development, and that includes street infrastructure, water, wastewater, land use, zoning, so all that kind of nuts and bolts.
Well, yeah.
Like, okay, what areas of the town maybe could be expanded? What areas that are now used this way could potentially be used another way in the future? All that kind of stuff. And we got a lot of public feedback. We did a poll online, and we had events here at the convention center where people came and were able to give their input. And so, to me, that's the part that then you take the input, the public input portion, and then you can roll that over into some group meetings to then develop a strategic plan. Because a comprehensive plan isn't quite the same as a strategic plan. It's not quite as action oriented, but I've seen the rough draft. It should be done here in November. It's very, I'm going to use the word comprehensive. It's extremely detailed, and it covers a lot of different areas. And the feedback from the public, to me, is the most valuable portion. Just to hear what Fairfieldians are saying, what they value, what they want to see more of.
Sure, you want that in there.
Yep, what kind of housing they want to see more of, what kind of changes in the downtown they'd like to see, recreation, stormwater management, all these different things they got to provide input for. So it's going to be great when we have it. And I say, again, we'll take that and then roll over into a strategic plan that's based on the comprehensive plan.
There you have it, past, present, and future visioning, I guess.
That's right.
Starting with wrapping up the RAGBRAI current projects. Who knows what we'll have in store by the end of next month. There'll be more progress on these plans, and always look forward to bringing you the news and from Fairfield all about our city happenings. Thanks for joining. See you next month.